Hello everyone and welcome to another top 5 list. Today I'm joined by Ellen and Randy. Hello guys.
Hello.
I'm Randy.
I'm Ellen.
It's helpful to know. And we are going to be going through our top 5 two-player games, not two-player only, but just ones that work really well with two people. So did you guys have any caveats when you were coming up with your list?
So we decided to make them all multiplayer games that we really enjoy at two players.
Yes.
So some of them, I wouldn't even say that they necessarily play best at two, but we really do enjoy them at two, and you can play them with higher counts as well.
We almost included some only two-player games, but we decided to broaden it for people and to make it where if you have this game, hey, it also plays good at two also.
Because most two-player games play well at two, because that's why
that's
they designed
what they
do.
Yeah.
There is one game on our list though, that I'm confused about. This one, is that only two-player or is that not? I'm looking at our paper list. I couldn't remember. See, I saw it written down. Well, we'll get to that. I don't know if it is.
We'll get to that one.
I
Yeah,
guess I don't know offhand.
that's all right.
Anyway.
Yeah, I think I pretty much did the same. I think there's one or two of mine that probably play best at two, but I think
Okay.
the rest are very much, they play really well with two, but if you've got more people, why not get them involved as well? Sort of thing.
Absolutely.
So let's take it away. What is your number 5?
So our number 5, and this is for speed more than
Yeah.
anything, is actually Century Spice. I know it's super basic.
Brilliant.
There's and whatever. We tend to like heavier or
heavy Euro
middleweight
games.
Euro games and that. But the speed at which we can play a two-player game with Century Spice, we can literally knock a game out in like 15-20 minutes.
Yeah.
And it's just such a good
That's
feeling
impressive.
Yeah.
to get a decent game out.
It looks
and then
ridiculous.
Just,
We're
like,
like-
I'll grab that card. It's like speed chess.
It's
almost.
so smooth once you get going and you know what you're going to do, because it's not these super meaty turns that you have all these paralyzing decisions to make. You kind of know what you want as soon as you see it, and so it becomes really seamless. And a lot of people are like, oh, it's not very interactive, that makes me sad, but it feels really good to just whoosh, 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 and you just go back and forth. It's a great quick little game.
Yeah. There's a little bit more interaction with higher counts because
Sure.
you can possibly you're more looking at other people's tableaus of like spice carts or whatever, and you're maybe trying to get that one card in before they're able to get it.
Yeah.
Things like that.
And of the Century or the Spice Road games, I think the Century Spice Road is my absolute favorite out of the three, because it is a
original, the OG.
trilogy. Yeah, that's my favorite one. I think we've done some combining of the games, which is very cool. But I think that first one's my favorite, and I always recommend it to new players. Also, I feel like it's a gateway game. It just kind of gets
for
people
sure.
into the concept of upgrading cubes and things like that you don't see in older games really. So I always recommend that to just anybody and everybody.
Yeah, a brilliant one. Like you say, you can slowly sort of work your way up from one spice to the next.
Yeah.
Now, do you like Century Spice Road or the Gollum edition better?
I like the Gollum edition because of the components better. I think the artwork in Gollum is nice too because it's all unique. Even if it's just barely different colors or whatever. I think the Gollum edition is better, and now that they have the Gollum trilogy, anybody new into it, I would probably steer them in that direction. Yeah.
I like the spice. I like dealing with boring cubes and spices. I'm like, give me that turmeric. I want the spice. I don't know. There's something cozy about it to me. And the Golem one, the components are really pretty, but I am starting to get a little annoyed. Those little crystals that are in there, every single game has that exact same shaped
true.
crystal.
That's true.
Any game that has a crystal or ore, coal, it's always let's go to the dollar store and get those little...
Little colored
They're
crystals.
fine, but I like the spice. I like spices.
Yeah, I think I'm with you there. I think the spice, I don't know, there's just something about the theme. Yeah, the gems and everything, it's nice, but
Yeah.
yeah, the spice theme just seems to fit it better.
Yeah.
So
I think so.
my number 5, some people might say this is a little bit high up the list, is Pandemic.
Oh.
So on my one, I've actually got the 10th anniversary edition because that's what's up on my shelf. Just slightly nicer components, otherwise it's exactly the same. You move around the board, you can communicate really nicely with two players. There's not a long wait between your turns, so if you're stood next to a problems going on with loads of cubes, you've not got to sort of get someone else the other side of the board to run across. It's back to you and you can sort it out. A lot of people seem to, if it's 2-player, play multiple characters each.
Oh,
but we've
that's
enjoyed
cool.
it just sort of one each, and it just keeps it simple.
Okay.
Do you guys like that at Pandemic at 2, or?
Ellen hates Pandemic.
Oh no!
Oliver, I'm so sorry. As soon as you said it, I was like, oh. I don't know. You know what? I don't like co-op games, like, at all.
Pretty much.
And
yeah.
so it was actually one of the first games that Randy got. I feel like that's a lot of people's stories. It was one of the first kind of games we got us into the hobby was Pandemic.
Yeah.
And we played it a lot to the point where it was like I was kind of just getting sick of it, I guess. And then we did the Legacy one. We never finished it because I was like, guys, let's go play some heavy Euros. I feel a little bit bad about that. But I don't like it, but you like Pandemic.
I like Pandemic, yeah.
Yeah.
And
So-
I look at the lower counts, 2 or 3. I think you're right there. Because it is very much, there's a lot of times there's more or less one best path. Not always, but
Yeah.
you can almost calculate it down if you're really good at it. Go, this is easily our best mathematical way of getting
Fun.
through this thing.
Math.
So when you got somebody that's equally kind of like on the same wavelength,
Yeah.
and then you're just kind of melding. You're like, what about this? I found this. You're like, perfect. Let's do that.
I feel like that can be very satisfying. I think that's cool too, using like multiple characters per one person. I never thought of doing that.
yeah.
Kind
I
of
don't-
keep you on your toes a
Yeah,
little
we've
bit.
only played 2-player. I think a couple of times.
Yeah.
We've always almost always played 4. I think.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's a good
Well,
choice.
there you go. So what's your number 4?
Number 4 is
Hmm.
El Dorado, which is the racing game. And I especially like it at 2, honestly, because you get 2 characters each, or 2
Yes.
meeples each,
Mm-hmm.
and you have to get them both across to win.
Yeah.
So it's
I
not
love
just you
that.
get one; you have to get them both across. But you can kind of like branch them out to get a couple of things.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of maybe I'll send them detour that way a little bit, but then I'm gonna kind of forge
Yeah, you can
my
like
way through
sacrifice
with
one of
this
the guys.
guy.
And, like, you go over there and see what you can find in the caves.
You
while
got
I
some
work with this guy.
extra decisions with the cards that you get in your hand. Of
Mm-hmm.
like, okay, well, it's perfect for this guy. This guy, well, he can't move, but at least I can move this guy.
Yeah, managing the 2 meeples is really
Yeah.
fun. And it does feel very much like a race. I mean, it is. And that's
Oh, it's a
actually
race,
one of
yeah.
the first race games that I played. I think maybe Snow Tales was the other one, which I actually
I think we did
almost
play that one first.
I almost put
yeah.
that one on our list, actually. But yeah, I love managing the 2 meeples, like, in your 1-player or the 2-player. I think that's really cool. And it feels like, it is a race, but it's great at 2. I
think
love
it's
that.
great at 2, yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's ours.
Well, I'm going to be a little bit awkward and say I'm not a big fan of the game, to be honest.
How
Okay.
dare you!
I know. Not so much because of the 2-player part. That I enjoyed that aspect where you had those more decisions. It's the market in terms of there was so many different cards. I found that it sat not at gateway level where
Huh.
I could just tell people like play this, because then they got so distracted by such a variety of cards in the
Sure.
in the
Oh,
market.
interesting.
And
Okay.
then people that would understand that then didn't really want to play it, sort of thing.
Huh.
So
It sounds
in
like you
the
need to
middle
get
for
new
me,
friends.
Yeah,
That's all.
definitely.
Yep,
New friends.
clearly
that's the
that's
solution.
what it is.
It's okay. I don't like Pandemic. You don't like El Dorado. We can work
Touche.
this friendship out. Yeah. Touche. Oh,
This
that's
is
great.
one that I keep coming back to and playing even to
Yeah.
today. The expansion adds more cards,
Mm-hmm.
which is a negative for.
That's actually
for
one of your
Oliver.
negatives.
But
Yeah.
That actually made the game worse for you.
it does have. Yeah, I like it a lot. It has like the are they demon squares? Is that what they're actually called?
Yeah,
the demon spaces.
things.
Where you can kind of use them. It's like extra penalty, but it's
Mm-hmm.
easier to traverse certain tiles and things, which is kind of cool.
Yeah.
But
That's a neat extra choice, I suppose.
yeah,
Yeah.
I suppose. So diplomatic.
Oh my gosh.
So my number 4 is it couldn't be a good list without a dexterity game, and most of those work better with more people. And now Drop It is one that I think it goes up to 4 players, but it's basically a 2-player game, because you're both
Yeah.
sat either side of this, almost like, not quite like a Connect 4 board or whatever, where you're dropping different shapes in the top, and they can be circles, triangles, squares, or whatever. You can't touch the same colour and you can't touch the same shape, and you're trying to drop them in and score points. there's just something special about a 2-player where you've both got 2 colours each.
Yep.
So you've got that choice, and inevitably you end up dropping it, and you're like, why did I just drop a square on a square? Because you've
You completely
because you're
forgot that it
thinking
was
about
there
something.
somehow.
I know,
Yeah,
right?
and it's, yeah, or you drop it on one side and then it somehow bounces to the complete other
Yeah,
side,
I love
and
that.
yeah, it's a lot of fun. And well, most dexterity games just don't work with 2, but
Yeah.
don't work as well. But this one
Yeah.
really does.
It's a great choice, actually.
It is. And
I
actually,
really-
every time you play that game, you're always going to go, why did I just ... Like, there's always...
Hey,
Because, like,
somehow you're like, but that's red there. Why did I drop
why
a
did
red
I do
piece?
that? Yeah. That's a great
And then it has the
little game.
walls and the base too, so there's like those extra
Yeah.
elements too where you can't touch those, not just the ones that are in the case or whatever. I do like that. Yeah, at whatever player count you're playing, you're always playing with all 4 colors. That is a neat part of it. You know, where
Definitely.
3 players, you know, you would be splitting one of the colors up between the 2.
Yeah, you actually brought this game to a family gathering. I think it was Thanksgiving. And
Yeah.
his sister has, I think, nine kids.
Yes.
And so we were all, there was like 15 people around this like little acrylic thin board. And we're all like, oh, dropping pieces in and yelling. And it was so much fun.
I
so
am
that's
so
obviously
bad
not
at that
2-player,
game.
but-
I don't know why. I would think that I would be pretty decent at it, but somehow I always manage to like have it jump across.
I think
the
one of the
stupid board.
funnest things about it is thinking through like trajectories of dropping something. Like what's going to be the consequence of dropping a triangle tip on like a circle that's slightly pivoted on that rectangle. Like it's just so weird what you have to think about.
You
then
never
when
seem to
drop
be
it,
able
it's
to get it right though.
Yeah.
You
Never.
always go, well, it will do this.
Yeah.
And then
should
it doesn't.
do this, and then it does the opposite.
I always like to try to like wedge a piece in, but then it like not only wedges it, it splits them in half,
Yeah,
and then it goes to like the
right,
bottom,
right.
and I end up screwing up anyway. I'm like,
That's a fun game. Talking about this make me want to play this.
we just played it not too
Let's
long
play
ago
it
with the
after
kids.
this.
Yeah, like a month or
It's
so
a
ago.
great game.
It's a great
Good
one.
choice, Oliver.
Thank you very much. That's one we actually agree on. There.
Yay!
That's right.
We can be friends still.
So what is your number 3?
So we just mentioned that Ellen hates co-ops.
Yes, I do.
But there's a certain
Ooh.
genre of co-ops that we really enjoy playing, and that's like the real-time co-op games.
Mm-hmm.
So the number 3 we picked for this one, there's a number of them that could fit in this slot, pretty much any of the
Sure,
real-time
sure.
ones, I think, but Kitchen Rush especially.
Have you played Kitchen Rush?
I've not. No, it was one of the ones that was really hard to get hold of,
Yeah.
despite looking chaotic as anything.
Yeah,
It's very
it is.
chaotic. It's very difficult, especially there's no like they have like a beginner mode, and it's very tough.
It's super duper hard. That game, and actually this is the one that I talked about that I said, is it actually a 2-player game or is it more
I
than 2?
think you can play because
I don't know.
there's different. You have to do different things if you have more players.
Okay,
I think
okay.
it's 2 to 4.
So this game, you're in a kitchen and you have menus, which are so adorably, preciously cute. And there's like orders. You can order like chicken and whatever comes
Yeah.
out on this order. You have to put these little sand timer workers all around the kitchen, and you cannot pick them up unless that sand timer has run out and they finished the task. So there's like dishes to be done. There's meat to be like cooked. There's plates to be serviced. Like it's so frantic. It makes me really crabby, but also I love it.
There's different size plates and things like that. There's
Then you make
obviously
money.
all these different ingredients. You have to restock the pantry, so you have to like put a thing out to even get pieces
It's ridiculous.
out. It's very much
Love
like
it.
I don't know what the actual name of it is, but like those apps, that are like the real-time
Oh, sure.
apps. And you could actually upgrade things a little bit too, because there are like some upgrade cards. Not as much as like an app-driven game, but where you get that feeling of you just frantically moving from
Mm-hmm.
different corner to different corner, and like, all right, well, I gotta flip this, and then I gotta run over here. Like Overcooked, for instance.
Right.
It feels very much like that game,
And
but
then
on the
depending
board.
on how well you did in your service, you make money, and then you use that money to pay your workers. And so you need
Yeah,
to make sure
that's
you
right, you
do
have to pay
well
your
to pay
workers.
people, or else you're firing people, and then there's no one to do the work. The
Yeah.
balance is so delicate, and there's
Yeah.
not an easy mode. It is so
Yeah,
difficult.
we got decent at it. I think we got into like a medium. I think we were winning like a medium game. But then
really
there's
hard,
like
but really
hard
fun.
and like extreme, I think, too, or something like that.
Yeah.
It's really difficult.
And component wise, seriously, one of the most beautiful games out there. Like it's such an
Pretty neat.
unassuming little like game, but And actually,
Well, the plates I printed.
You did. He 3D printed little dinner plates. They're so cute.
Like two-tone, yeah. 'cause
Yeah,
they have
little
like
two-tone
different
dinner
sizes,
plates.
But yeah, they're pretty cool.
I could go on and on about it. It's precious.
That's
but
a
it's
good
just
game.
beautiful. It's
It's a
just
good game. We should play that
good-looking
again.
game. Yeah.
We'll probably be starting from scratch, though.
Yes, we would. Yes, we
You
would.
mentioned it's a Overcooked. I've played that a lot, and that sounds it sounds very similar. If you
Yeah.
like that,
Very.
will you like this?
I think so.
Yeah.
I think so. It gives you that same feeling, and just get that franticness, and it's not dexterity,
No.
right? But you
It's
are
timing and efficiency.
moving, your timers over. There might be some rule of you knocking a timer over or
I don't
something
know.
like that.
But it's
I don't know.
basically that game, the video game, but like tangible. So you're
And you have to
picking
put
up
'em
like the
in-
meat and the potatoes. It's like the
Yeah.
cutest little thing.
And you have to you actually have to put the worker in the right spot to do that, action. And there's you can only put certain timers in certain areas, and then you have to when you cook stuff, you move it over and things. And you have to wash the dishes. I mean, it's
I love doing chores when I play video
know,
or
right?
play board games. I don't have enough of those at home. I need more in games.
It's too realistic.
Yeah, exactly.
So my number 3 is Whitehall Mystery. So have you? I don't know if you guys have played this one,
not
I
that
have
one
not.
specifically. No,
or have you played was it Letters from Whitechapel? I think that's
I
like
have-
the bigger brother.
I have played half of that, half of one.
Okay. Well, that's a good sign of you enjoying it.
This is gonna go
So,
really well.
Whitehall Mystery is definitely smaller and quicker than that one, but it's one of those games where the one player you can't see them on the board, and the other player in this case is chasing them down, trying to slowly sort of pen them in. And I just love the way that it's if you're not on the main board, you're sort of sneaking round on this pad. Like you're noting down where you are, and then they're slowly getting near you, and then you just use one of your special actions and you run through a street where they can't go, and you're away, and you feel like you've really escaped the other player.
Oh,
And then
cool.
At times they get I got to this location, so then all of a sudden they're like, how did they get past? I have no idea how they. I thought they were there, and they can't have been, and stuff like that. So it's one of those sort of hidden movement
I was just
games
gonna say hid movement.
I really enjoy. There's another one which I'm forgetting the name of that's got an app that Restoration Games did.
Oh yeah, that's
quite similar.
Stop
But,
Thief.
Stop
I think?
Thief, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
They've both got the same vibe, but there was
Yeah.
just something special about Whitehall Mystery for me.
Ooh, I want to try it now.
Yeah, I played Fury of Dracula, which is kind of that ish, and then we've played what's the other hidden movement one?
It was a Lord of the Rings one,
Yeah,
wasn't it?
yeah, it's
Hunt
Hunt
for
for
the
the Ring.
Ring?
Hunt for the
I
Ring.
think it was Hunt for the
That one
Ring.
was
Yeah,
pretty good
something like
too.
Yeah. Well, I'm so
I
bad
really
at
like
hid
these,
movement.
but we haven't had one that's really clicked with both of us together.
Yeah. Basically, Oliver, we should never play games together. Our lists are so different. But that's great. That's telling a lot of people all the different vibes that are out there.
Exactly.
I'll play anything.
Yeah, he will. So will I.
Well, I
so
think-
will I.
I think this one is better than Fury of Dracula, just because that takes hours, and this takes
Yeah.
half an hour. So even if you don't like it, it's over quickly.
That's cool. That'd be interesting. I might want to try that one. 'Cause I do like
love
hidden
it.
movements, and I would like something that
I
we
would
can play
absolutely
together.
be down for trying another hidden movement because that concept and the feeling you're talking about of you narrowly escaped and you're like, oh, that is a great feeling. So
Right.
I would love to try
Right,
that.
where you're like, are you there?
Yeah.
And then you're right next to it, and you're like,
and you always make that noise
exact
too.
feeling.
Yeah, you always go hee 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 hee.
I do.
Okay, so what is your number 2?
So our number 2 is Viticulture. Now, I'm not sure how many people will agree that it plays really well at 2. We play it quite a bit at 2. Part of the reason why it's up higher is we just love the game in general. It's just a fantastic game,
Yeah.
full stop. But with 2-player, there's really only one space you can go. So there's no repeating stuff.
Yeah, the board scales.
Yeah, so it's there's usually 3 spots you can go depending on how many players you have. 2 players, it's only the leftmost spot, and it has less rewards in the left-hand spot sometimes too. So in a 2-player game, it's a good amount different than say a 3 or 4-player.
Yep.
Um,
Yeah, it
and
feels
you-
a little more tension, actually.
I think
fighting
since
for
we
those
play with
spots.
the Tuscany, Tuscany Essentials and the whole lot, that wake up chart is even more important of where do you want to go on there. 'Cause if you really want to make sure you do something on this next round, you're going to have to go pretty high and sacrifice getting all those extra benefits.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
with the mamas and the papas, depending on the one that comes, the power cards,
Yeah.
whether that come out. Or that's not the mamas and papas. That's the
Mamas and Papas are your starting cards.
grande. Well, there's the grande worker. And what's the 2 neutral workers? I forgot what they
I don't know what they're
are
called.
technically called. There's they have like
I'm
the
struggling,
painted.
yeah.
I don't
The
remember what
special
they're
ones.
actually
Expansion
called.
pieces?
But they have 2 different cards come out, and you can obviously, you can buy for an extra bit of money. You can buy those extra people, and they have like a special ability. And those special abilities, I think, are nice with 2 players because sometimes you can
Definitely.
copy a section. So it's like,
Definitely.
well, I gotta get that one.
Yeah. So that's buying that extra worker guy has saved me so many times because you're able to copy or just. I mean, aren't the abilities different though? Wow.
Yeah,
like,
they
I
all
remember.
come out
Okay,
different.
okay.
So I mean, it's kind of there are some of those cards that don't play well at 2, and we actually
Sure.
just kind of pull them out if they come up. We're like, well, that's kind of pointless at a 2-player game. Well,
Yeah.
so there are some downsides, but with a slight bit of knowledge, I guess.
Now,
it's
Oliver,
great.
you made a face, an expression when we mentioned this game. Do you like this game?
I really like viticulture.
Okay.
I certainly
Okay.
do.
I almost had to get
I'm-
mad at you.
I'm really torn at it at 2 players. We play it at 2 players a lot, and we do
Okay.
really enjoy it.
Yeah.
But there's something about the first circles, not having the bonuses in that really
Yeah.
annoys me.
Yep.
Sure.
So I
sure.
think because I played it first with more people, the ability to sort of go on those spaces and, get that thing cheaper or
Yeah.
Yep.
get that extra card, it just feels like some of the turns are bigger. But
Ah.
then with the Tuscany expansion, with some of those special worker powers, like, you can play something in a previous season or a future season, and then
Yep.
you've got that first spot. And then it makes the grande workers that bit more important, because then it's
Yeah.
like, well, I still need to do this, but they've blocked that single spot. So
Right,
yeah,
right.
part of me loves it at 2, and part of me doesn't enjoy it as much at 2 because I want
I
the bonuses.
totally agree with that. That's really
I definitely agree
interesting.
with the bonus spaces.
Yeah.
Because every time,
Yeah.
it seems like every time we pull it out at 2, you're like, oh crap, I can't get that coin discount.
Do you think you'd ever
Yeah.
house rule that and be like, let's just say you can get the bonuses, or would that throw off the
no,
balance?
I think it
do you
throws
think?
it off.
Really?
But I think that how you kind of approach things are different. So you might want to get the table that you when you give the tour, you get like the extra coin and the extra
sure.
point and things or
Yeah.
whatever like that.
Yep.
Tasting room.
Tasting
Yeah,
room.
tasting
That's
room.
right.
That's it.
I think some of those things are more important in a 2-player game.
Okay.
So I think the slight
Dang,
feel
maybe
of the
that's what
game
I've been doing
does
wrong.
slightly change.
Now that you're saying that, I'm like, oh my gosh, my world is opening up. That makes so much sense. I've never utilized that to its full potential in a 2-player. That's amazing how this one game that's so good, no matter how many players you play it, can be tweaked a lot by going from even 3 to 2. That's crazy.
Yep.
I just appreciated this game so much more now. There's a lot of
Yeah.
depth there.
It's phenomenal. Now,
Yeah.
interesting. I'd like to get your opinion on a strategy that has worked for me once, or maybe
Okay.
twice. Winning the game without selling a single bottle of wine. Where do you stand on that?
I love that strategy. I've done it once. I have won with it.
That's a
So
great
you're
question.
basically just trying to get all points. It's much easier in say Tuscany, right? Because you can get the extra side buildings, those orange buildings that are off to the side.
Yep.
Because you get points like every time you build one of those, and then you can tear it down and build it, and tear it down and build it. So I think it's a much more viable strategy in like Tuscany, for instance.
I actually end up doing that strategy quite a lot because it's always unintentional. I'm gonna sell so much wine this time, and then I don't because I get really intimidated by like the process of getting the wine over and changing it. That I always just be like, I'm just gonna get points this way. I'm just gonna get points this way. I always end up kind of doing that, so I unintentionally do that strategy
That's true.
quite a lot.
So do you just
don't ask
not-
about my winning though.
So you're saying just don't fill orders at all, or like you don't even sell grapes or wine or nothing?
Like the way I've exploited it is by building those orange buildings to get you points, and then there's that action that allows you to like buy and sell a field,
Yes.
and stuff like that. And then I had the tasting room, so I'd made a single bottle of wine in my cellar. And then they just kept coming and tasting that. That was all they did.
You know that one bottle of wine you got down
This
there?
seems really familiar. No.
Can I taste that one more time?
It's aged 6 more months.
That is excellent. Cool.
Okay, so you won't even use like some of the visitor cards to sell off like wine that way.
Wow.
No, I
interesting.
needed to keep my one wine for people to taste.
I've never gone quite that far.
That's hardcore,
in any of the
Oliver.
strategies.
Respect.
That's pretty cool, though.
I mean,
No more wine.
it's only worked the once. It's one of those. If you can be quick enough, you can win.
Sure.
But if it goes on for like one more round, whoever's churning out grapes and
Yeah,
wine
right,
is gonna
right.
wipe the floor with you.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
So
That's so
fun.
It's a
interesting.
fun one, though.
Gosh, what
Huh.
a great game.
that'd be interesting. I might have to try that.
Yeah. I'm like actually thinking about it. Okay. All right, cool. I'm going to do that next.
So my number 2. Now, a game of this series, I'd assume it may appear on your list. I mean, there's only one slot left, but it's a big series. My favourite of the trilogy is Azul Summer Pavilion.
Ah.
So I'm reading
Okay.
your faces. There wasn't you didn't seem to hate it too much.
I like the- I think
love
it's a great
Azul.
option.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a good option. I don't know. Summer Pavilion? I don't think I've actually played that one.
Okay.
Tell me
No,
about
I don't
it.
think we have played Summer. We've
Yeah.
played. I've played Stained Glass
Yeah,
and
I've
the
played that
original.
one.
But yeah.
Tell us all about it.
So if you've played the originals, Stained Glass has the same central picking mechanism of you take all of one colour from one of the central tiles and the rest you shove off to the middle as sort of its own group. But you can also take one of the wild colour at the same time from that tile, and each round there's a different wild colour. So in the first round I think it's red or something like that, and then it normally means that you grab a load of those colour so you can then spend 1 blue or something to fill in the 6 blue space on your player board. It's a little bit different in terms of you're not sliding them across, and you can actually keep 4 tiles between rounds and have no
cool.
penalties. So whereas
nice.
like in the original or even in Stained Glass, you get quite punished for having too much of the wrong colour.
Right.
All of a sudden you're
Yes.
breaking glass or breaking tiles and you lose like 10 points.
Yeah. Oh,
this you
so
can-
brutal. Yeah.
Yeah, it's almost hard to lose points in this one for that purpose, because you can just keep some, and normally you end up keeping them because it's like, well, it's wild in the next round, so I'll just use them then.
That's
that's
really
cool.
interesting, because that is a scary thing when you're playing Azul and all of a sudden you start seeing like there's only a couple rounds left. You're like, who's gonna take that big
You
old
start
pile?
counting like who's gonna take all those blues because I have a spot for 1.
Oh my gosh, that's a scary thing.
Yeah, and it's got like also a sideboard, so when you do certain move tile or place the tiles onto your board, if you go around a certain, I think it's like a column or a statue, depending on which ones, it's like you get 2 tiles from this board or like 3 tiles from that board that you can then
Cool.
use, which means you're eyeing up certain colours. Your opponent is eyeing up probably the same ones, so it's almost who
Right.
can fill that in the right way quick enough to grab them from
cool.
that side board and stuff like that. So yeah, if you like Azul 1 or 2, I think this is probably my favourite of the 3, to be fair.
Wow. We
Yeah, that's the one I haven't tried yet.
gotta find a friend who has that.
I wonder if Beery has it. Well,
Why don't you just bring it over?
Yeah, that's
Oliver?
right.
Just come on over. Come over tonight. We can play, which is already
Yeah,
night for
take
you,
the red eye.
basically. Cool.
Oh, all right, that's a good one.
So then, here we go. What is your number 1?
Ooh.
So this won't come as a super shock to most people that have followed us.
Yeah.
Castles of Burgundy is Ellen's favorite game.
I guessed that one. Yeah.
Yeah. But
Yeah.
I really enjoy it, and honestly, I think it plays best at either 2 or 3, and I think it plays very slightly best at 2 over 3. 4 gets a little bit lengthy. If you have 4 people that like know the game, it's not so bad. But I think 2 just kind of nudges it out as the best player count for it.
Definitely, because I mean the game scales again, the board, and so there's limited things that you can take, and you're kind of all fighting for the same little pieces. I mean, it's just my favorite game of all time anyway. And then the fact that it plays so good at 2, I'm like, it's got to be on this list.
So it's, it's dice. It's kind of like a dice
manipulation, maybe?
Manipulation, right? And it's kind of a worker placement kind of a feel, but it's more like action selection. I don't know what the official term they use for this one is, because it is kind of different. But you use your dice to take actions. So I don't know, dice allocation maybe. Let's say that.
Yeah, we just went through a lot of.
And then you can manipulate the dice, and the different colors are scored essentially different ways, or they'll give you different benefits. And so you have a central board, and you have to pull the hex tiles from there into your
duchy.
And it's your holding area, and then it goes from your holding area into your duchy. And you can only build off, so it's kind of like a tiling aspect where you can only build off from a certain tile, one tile, and kind of sprawl out from there. You fill in vast sections of you fill in all the colors of one section, you get bonuses for that. All of the yellow tiles are like extra bonus and manipulations.
There's a lot of comboing to be had in this game.
Yeah.
Like you can spend
efficiency.
Many minutes on one turn if you like stack everything up to go perfectly. You can do this, and then because you did that, you get this, and then you get this, which scores you extra points at the end.
Yep.
And that huge rush and slide of points feels so dang satisfying. Such a good game.
So one dice, one action, but if you do it well, almost all of your actions can be like double actions.
I love games that feel like, this is going to sound crazy, but feel limited. Like I only have these 2 die. Here we go. Bang. And then you can kind of tweak them, and you got to make the best out of that. I love that feeling so much.
Yeah,
I don't know why it seems really stressful now that I'm saying it.
It's one of those, when we first played it, I think we got barely 100 points or something like that.
Yeah.
But now we get, consistently 230, 240 points or something like that. And then some people are even better, they'll get like 260, 280. It obviously depends on which tiles come out, and there's, it can be a very swingy up and down.
Yeah. But you're not so at the mercy of others either, because there's that spot in the middle that if you have 2 silverlings, you can spend those to purchase something from the middle.
Yep.
So you are fighting for pieces, but then also sometimes there's the option you could also get it. And then being the first player is pretty important too.
Because you'll take both of your actions with castles, so you don't always alternate every other person. If you're first, you take both your actions.
Yeah.
So being first is important, and you be first by getting the blue shipping tiles, and that's how you keep your front position.
Gosh, I love this game.
There's so many little aspects and so many different ways you can kind of go. It's very point salad, obviously, but efficiency more than anything.
Yeah,
you have to be efficient in whichever kind of direction you're going.
I can't tell if you like this or not, Oliver.
I mean, I wish I'd played it, to be fair.
Okay.
Oh, you've never played it?
I really like everything you're saying, like from the fact that you can do such a small thing and then it combos into something bigger to get a huge amount of points. And even just the slight manipulation of the dice and putting them out, and it sounds like a game that I should enjoy. I just haven't
Oliver,
played it.
what are you doing with your life?
There's so many games out there. And then
this is the one
Castles is one of those older ones too, and it's kind of surprising because we've only been in the hobby maybe 5 or 6 years, and we haven't picked up a lot of like the fairly old classics. We've played Carcassonne, some of the really old ones, Dominion and things, but Castles for some reason came up enough for you actually found it.
I found it,
and without going through the whole thing, but yeah, it's one of those, the newer you are in the hobby, the less likely you are to play some of these games that are 5, 6, 7, 10 years old.
Castles is so smooth, and it feels like a classic. Like I don't think it's ever going to get to a place where we look back at that and go, it's a good game, but now we figured out a way to do that better. Like it's just so good. I don't think it's ever going to get like.
I think it'll always be good, no matter when you come into the hobby.
Yeah.
The only downside to it is the aesthetics that people are not very fond of.
Well, I love them both. We bought the anniversary edition. That's all done up, And a lot of people hated that too. I'm like, you know what?
I think it's a slight improvement.
I like them both. I like the boring beige one because I'm a boring beige person. I like them both. I'll play any all day. It's a great game. Oliver, play it soon.
I'm going to have
That
to
is your
now. You know,
homework.
you've sold it to me.
That's right.
Yeah, it's great.
My number one is a game that I probably get about as excited about as you did then, and that is Bar and Park by Phil Walker Harding.
Oh yeah.
He very rarely puts a foot wrong for me in terms of there's only one or two of his games that I just thought were good, but this is certainly a great one. I love the tiles in this one. So, you know, you've got these polyomino Tetris style blocks. You're trying to build out your park, and it's all like, if I place it in this angle, I'm going to be covering these, and that means I can have those tiles. So there's that choice of like this choice then flows into more, and then they've got cute artwork. I mean, you know, you're placing polar bears or, you know,
Can't go wrong with
grizzly
cute.
bears, and then the expansion as well, which added the monorails and then huge tiles and things like that. It was one of those ones that you can get it to the table. Probably I can't remember Century Spice Road you said earlier. You can get it to the table and just quickly play because you've played it so many times. For us, that's like Bar and Park. Once it's set up, you already know, right, I want to do this, and on my next turn I'm going to probably place that there, which will allow me to take this. And at 2, you can just go back and forth, and yeah, you can screw them over by taking that last shape of that tile.
Right.
Yeah.
So you have to quickly rework your plan, but apart from that, it's very much, right, I've put that there, grab this, now your turn, and stuff like that. So
I love
really enjoy it.
That you love this game. I got it for you for Christmas a few years ago. He absolutely loves it so much that he actually 3D printed an insert for it.
I made an insert.
Yeah, he made a little insert. That's a really fun game. I think that's one of the first Patchwork was the first polyomino game I played, and then Barren Park. And I don't think we have the monorail, do we?
We never got it because you don't like the game terribly much.
I don't love
You're not
it
like
as much.
against it, but-
No.
I'm not against it. I know. Dang it, Oliver, we were doing so well.
I love it.
He loves it. I like it.
Anything polyomino, I love.
And I think that's why I'm not good at polyomino. It's very fun, and actually My City, which is also polyomino, I don't know if you've played that one. I have been loving that one. I don't know why, because I suck at polyomino. I don't have like that, what's that called? Spatial awareness. So Barren
They're quite
Park to me
similar,
is
though.
They are.
They are, Oliver. You're right.
I don't know why.
Don't try to tap into this mind here.
I don't even understand myself. I don't know. Maybe I need to try it again. I don't hate it. I just like it.
I think you might like it better coming back to it after playing others.
It's definitely
I think
cute.
it's fantastic, and that's the reason we haven't tried the monorail, because I was all hyped to get monorail, and I was like, I don't really like that. I'm like, oh.
I basically ruined your life, is what you're saying.
But then we played one of every, several hundred other games, So
Yeah.
I think it's really great because when the first couple times we played it, I set out the rewards wrong. So I would set out like all the rewards basically. But you're only supposed to the first the first time or two or
swimming in
something.
awards.
So basically there's like no competition. You just kind of go for whatever reward.
We both got 1,000 points. This is great.
And then I read it again, and this was I read it again, and I'm like, oh crap, it's supposed to be 3 or something, right? 3 or 4 or something.
Yeah. 3,
and then obviously that completely changed that dynamic. But
oh yeah, because it went from 20 to 3.
well, right, then it's actually tighter. Then so you're trying to get the 3 polar bear enclosures or panda bear enclosures before anybody else does, so you can and whatever.
Yeah, it's definitely a fun game. I would like to try it again because I haven't played it for a while, and in that space of time I've played a lot more polyomino games and have gotten better at figuring that out. Like we love Feast for Odin. That's crazy polyomino. It's got that whole thing. My City.
Yeah.
What's the other one? I can't remember. So
we just
try
played
it
what's the zoo one?
New York Zoo.
New York Zoo.
Have you played that one?
That was pretty neat too.
No, again, it looks strangely polyominoes if you don't like polyominoes, but
I know.
It's bizarre.
She says it, but she plays a lot of them. I don't understand.
It's not that I don't like it. Actually feels very fun when you're like, ooh, this is going to fit amazingly. Bam! That feeling is so good, but I'm not very good at it. And so that's where my frustration comes in. But when I do get it, it feels great. But my New York Zoo is dang adorable.
I like it. I like
I love
Burner
it.
Park slightly
Yeah,
better.
you
I
like
have to give that one a
Burner
go.
Yeah, try it.
It's good because it's got like animal breeding and stuff too, which is kind of neat.
Yeah.
But you know.
So that's our list.
Yeah. Did you have any that just missed out, or?
There's a couple of like 2-player only games that would have been on the list if we kind of at least incorporated 1 or 2 of those.
Yeah.
You know, like Skull Hollow is one we really enjoyed. Targi, those are probably 2 of the.
That's a classic. Yeah.
But as far as like multiplayer games for 2
I
players,
had Carpe Diem. I had Carpe Diem on my list.
Carpe Diem plays quite well at 2 because that's also another one that scales. I like that one.
It scales, and you're fighting for like those ways to score and the sideboard that are like really important to get those. So Carpe Diem's so fantastic.
I considered Feast for Odin, but
that's your
the
favorite
only
game.
reason I like it even like really well at 2 is with the expansion. You know, and that's quite a cash commitment to make it to recommend it for 2 players.
Well, he didn't ask for
you
a
know,
cheap list.
Yeah, just because the expansion's fairly expensive. The base game's obviously very expensive. And
Does the expansion make it that much better for 2?
It does, I think, because the boards are different. So there's like 2-player specific boards. It tightens it back up, and that was the biggest problem I had with Feast at 2 with the original.
It was so open.
Everything you could kind of just do whatever you wanted.
Yeah.
You know, if you went that
Who wants
strategy,
that?
I went this strategy. It's like whoever
Let's
ends
do
up
whatever they want.
kind of doing better, then they win.
Yeah, right.
With 2-player, it definitely tightens it up a lot more.
Oh, definitely changes that playing field quite a lot.
But that's mostly the reason the kind of the what you need to commit to get to 2-player.
Yep.
Plus, I don't even think it's like the best at 2. I think 3 players probably the key.
Those are all good reasons why I didn't make your list.
Oh, you said just missed. So
What about you? Is there anything that just missed your list?
Yeah, probably. I didn't want to put it on because it's a legacy game, but Clank Legacy, Acquisitions Incorporated. Really enjoy base Clank. Not necessarily always at 2. But then, because the deck building parts, I like the fact it's deck building to do something rather than just deck building, like you're moving around. But we played the Legacy experience with 2. No idea how it plays with more than that, but I'm sure it'd be good. But it's competitive, but the amount of times in that we ended up sort of saying, I could end the game now, and for me, points-wise, it would be good to do this. But I'm going to just let you carry on. So I'm going to sort of walk over here somewhere and do nothing. So they can get down and read this passage out of the text, like the passage of the booklet. Just so we could sort of find out what happens and stuff like that. That was really enjoyable. And
cool.
I can't actually remember which one of us won it. But we both enjoyed going through, and I'd never sort of read or the online comic of Acquisitions Incorporated, whatever that is.
No.
But I really enjoyed it. It was a fun theme that really worked with Clank. But yeah, didn't want to. It's a legacy one, so we can't really go back to it. So it makes it a little bit hard to sort of put on a list. But that one just missed out. Otherwise, it would probably have been quite high up.
Interesting. I know that Clank the Clank Legacy got like a ton of praise. Like that game was supposed to be super, and we have both Clanks in space and original.
Yeah, we really enjoyed Clank, but yeah, we never, for whatever reason, we never picked up the Legacy.
I mean, part of it probably is because of me. I'm being honest.
Yeah, maybe.
I get a little sometimes with like legacy games, which is interesting because my city is a legacy, right?
A lot of Clank.
I get a little bit like, all right, what's the next game? Get that out of here, you know. So sometimes I don't want to commit to a legacy, but.
I mean, we've played a lot of Clank leading up to it. I think that's part of it.
A lot.
Not that we were burnt out on it, but it's like spending another $80 or whatever it was to get it. We're like, I don't know. We played a lot of Clank already. You know, if we played not as much Clank, I think it would have been a no-brainer.
It's quite a lot longer as well. I mean, what's Clank normally like 40, 45 minutes, something like that.
Yeah,
whereas Clank Legacy, it was close to like an hour and a half a game. Mostly because the amount we were trying to read out of the book and stuff like that, and it's a thick book full of little passages for you to read when you get to this forest or this mountain on the board and stuff like that, and then there's loads of stickers and all that sort of legacy goodness. But,
Cool.
Maybe not for you if you've burnt it out on Clank, but if you leave it a little while, maybe something
Yeah.
to look into.
Yeah, it might be something to like visit again. Like,
Sure. I'd be
you
into
know,
that.
after
Absolutely.
not playing it for a while. Yeah.
Well, there we have it. A load of great games. Thank you very much, guys, for joining me. If people want to check out, your content, where can they find you?
So we're on most of everything. YouTube, that's where most of our videos drop. We do live plays on Mondays, and we stream that on Twitch and YouTube and Facebook and things. But yeah, we game together. Pretty much any of the things that you normally consume content at, we're probably there in some capacity.
Yeah.
Well, there you have it, guys. I'll put those links in the description so you can check that out. And thank you, everyone, for watching. Have a good day.